go crazy. Mom's bursting in there with the rocket red glare, rapping USA, so she go crazy. Wait for it, 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 wait for it.
This week's episode of Latino Free Minds. I'm very excited to have everybody here today. We're working with something a little bit different today. For those of you that are watching on Instagram or Facebook, we have a new format that I am testing out for the first time. And weirdly, Instagram's kind of freaking out a little bit. See if it comes back. Anyways, a lot's happened over the last few days. I've been doing a lot of stuff on my own because the election, the primary election has come and gone. There's a lot of things that I've been catching up on, namely the some of the projects that I had going on, some AI stuff that I've been looking into, some news updates that I've been working on trying to get through to the team. With all those things, I might as well tell you what those are. But Instagram is not loving me right now. What's going on? Don't like that. See if I can get this thing to work. Oh, well. I'll let it ride. We'll look at it through Facebook. So, anyways, I've been working on a lot of things in the background. I have been working on some exciting nerdy stuff with trying to get news updates to me every day on a federal, and on a nationwide and a local California, and even a deeper in local areas within California, so that we can report those things to you. Now, when I started working on this, there was a lot of things that I had trouble with, and then things got really busy between Proposition 50 and the California primaries. So it got put on the back burner, and I started working on it again, and I've gotten a lot closer. I've gotten a lot closer to what I've been wanting to do. There's other things that we've been working on, getting a new theme song, so we don't get flagged by Spotify. Daniel's been setting up our Spotify again. Not that it ever went away. It's just that when we set it up, unfortunately, we were flagged because a friend of the podcast, Chingo Bling, one of his songs was our intro, and they didn't like that. Even though we had permission from Chingo Bling to use his theme song, They like things in writing. They like to verify things. And I didn't want to bother Chingo Bling again with a request. He's a busy guy. He's a professional, right? I don't want to be that bugaboo. So Daniel's worked on getting it back up and going. I've been working on getting all the musicians and singers and everybody in the studio to record a new Latino Free Minds anthem. There was a sneak preview somewhere today, but you would have to pay real close attention. You might have missed it. It's still getting through the producers to clean some things up and make it sound well enough. There's some other things that we're working on too. We have a nice, I don't want to call it trailer, but like an intro to the show. That we have our animation. I want to say team, just like me, interns, unpaid. I'm not really an intern, but I am unpaid. We're all unpaid, actually. Anyways, like I said, a lot of things that we have been needing to do are the things that we're trying to get done. We're trying to get it all done as soon as possible because obviously this work that we do, it doesn't end. So we have elections in November, and the gas pedal, we can't take our foot off the gas pedal because we have the voter ID initiative that is on the ballot this year. I released a clip on it this morning. There's with the voter ID, there's been a lot of back and forth. Unfortunately, there are people that think, because Donald Trump is trying to get something passed at a federal level, thus makes whatever California is doing null. Like, it doesn't matter. You don't need to do that, California. My thoughts, really, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, and I know I'm going to hurt feelings because we do have a conservative audience, right? I understand that. That doesn't get lost on me. We do have Republican listeners. I would hope that there are also Democrat listeners that find us refreshing. But if not, if there's very few of you guys out there, then that's okay. We'll keep working on putting that message out there that we are free minds. We're not Latino Republican minds. We are Latino free minds. So we like to come at things. I don't even want to say center, because center sounds like, we're neutral. Nah, we just want to come at it with common sense. And sometimes that's a little more right-leaning, and sometimes that's a little more left-leaning. So I say that to preface what I'm going to say next. With the California Voter ID Initiative, because Donald Trump is pushing it at the national level, we do get a lot of people that want to take their foot off the pedal in California. And this is where I'm going to make people upset. I just don't see the SAVE Act getting passed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to all of those that are holding their breath and hoping that Massey's going to vote for it. I just don't see it happening. And unfortunately, after I did digging, because I wanted to do an update on it, not only an update, but kind of like a reminder, hey, this is going to happen. We need to be ready. We need to get out and vote. I know some of us are really sad. I'm really sad. But I got to get past my feelings. I got to get past my pride. Obviously, it hurts me that Chad Bianco lost. Have the election been certified yet? I don't think so. But this is why I started to get, just remember to myself that I needed to come out and report or remind everybody that we do have the voter ID. So when I was digging, I found that unfortunately, a lot of the pushback that there is on the SAVE Act, it's not necessarily that they don't want there to be voter ID. The pushback is more, hey, the federal on a federal level, you guys are trying to push this on everybody, and if you do that, then what does that mean for the states? What kind of funding are you going to provide for the states? You see, you're sending these rules, you're sending this extra work. What help are you going to give to us on a state level, on a local level? And that's for the people that this counts for, like Massey, that's an issue because it's not giving the appropriate funds to do these things. So while a lot of us think, well, he doesn't do it because he's got a vendetta against Trump or Israel, whatever you think he has against it, the fact of the matter is, for the SAVE Act, that's not necessarily the answer. The answer is more, and not just Massey, they don't want this federal mandate to come down, all these extra rules, all this extra work that needs to go on without the proper funding. So, Donald Trump, maybe send it back to the workshop. Get it fixed. Get the funding in there. Move it out quick. We have until what? November for the general election. Either way, another thing I wanted to talk about on this voter ID thing is the fact that a lot of us seem to forget why it's suddenly come into the forefront in California again. Here's the facts, or allegations, I should say. In Los Angeles, the mayoral election came down to 3 top candidates. Unfortunately, for some of our listeners who wanted Tish to win it all, unfortunately, she didn't stand a chance against the incumbent, surprisingly, Mayor Bass. Surprisingly, the socialist communist, Nithya Raman, and Spencer Pratt, Spencer Pratt had a lot of people enjoying his content. A lot of people were showing support online. I guess it goes to prove that online doesn't necessarily mean votes. And I'll get into that a little bit later. Well, allegations swirl around this election because Spencer Pratt and the incumbent Mayor Bass were far ahead on election night. It looked like it was going to be them in the general election, to the point that Nithya Raman even came out and it sounded like she conceded. I'm not an expert on concessions, but it sounded like she conceded. But then she didn't, or she did. I don't know. Regardless, somehow she came back and passed up Spencer Pratt. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I will say it's very suspicious. It's very suspicious because we were like far and ahead. I say we as if I was part of the campaign. I'm just a fan, like everybody else online. There's a lot of concern because there was they call them drops, as if they're like sneakers that you're going to buy. There was a drop that put Nithya Raman way up ahead in contention of surpassing Spencer Pratt. I'm sorry, I'm yawning a little bit. I haven't gone to the gym yet, so the blood isn't really going. So it put Spencer Pratt and Nithya Raman within range of each other. And then suddenly Nithya Raman just slowly crept up, and now she's way ahead of Spencer Pratt. I think the numbers are, it's too far to say that Spencer Pratt can come back. I know there's a lot of things going on in the background, like Spencer saying, well, you know, I don't like Nithya for this or that. It is what it is. I'm not going to get into that little fight. You know, I don't know what he supposedly has, if he has, if he's going to blackmail her, if he's going to drop some video that he claims to have. I don't know the details about that. If you got it, Spencer, just drop it. Just drop it. Can she still concede? I don't know. You should have put it out before. Let's just be honest. You should have put it out before. So, the people on the street, finally we get to the allegations, right? The people on the street have been asking homeless people if they've seen anything suspicious. And some of the homeless people have said, yeah, actually, I filled out ballots, or somebody filled out ballots. There's people out here asking and saying. And my response to that is always like, can't really trust homeless people, you know, kind of like tweakers. Kind of. No, they are tweakers. A lot of them are using drugs. A lot of them are doing things that you wouldn't trust them, right? But suddenly we trust them with this information. And if that's what if that's the route you want to go down, fine. You can go down that route. I'm just giving you the heads up. There's going to be people that say, hey, that's kind of weird, but we don't believe people on drugs. And that's a fair point. You have to accept that that is a very fair point. But it is highly suspicious, right? If it's true, it's highly suspicious. So there's federal investigators there. We're going to see if something happens. If anything comes of it, you know, I hope to be the person that comes on here on Tuesday next week and says, guys, you proved me wrong. Spencer Pratt is going to be running for mayor in the general election because they found the fraud. They found this many ballots. Now that leads me into this next part. Something that I mentioned in a video that I released this morning is if there is shenanigans going on in Los Angeles, who's to say that that's not happening outside of Los Angeles? Okay? Back to the point of I know that we have a conservative audience. 2020, they said there was some shenaniganry going on in Los Angeles with the Donald Trump election. Right? And there was never proof. That's the thing that the people that when you bring up this election fraud stuff and say, oh, this is happening, it's illegals, blah, blah, blah. There's no evidence of that. It's not widespread. They have terms that they use. It's no proof. It's just allegations. It's anecdotal evidence. Okay. You know, the 2,000 Mules thing is just... Let's not even look into that. Dennis D'Souza put together a great documentary. He showed videos of people going from the ballot drop-off boxes. It certainly looked like shenaniganry to me, but we're going to have to ignore that because for some reason, here we are 6 years after the fact and nothing came of that. But if we can somehow prove that there is funny business going on in Los Angeles, who's to say that that's not going on outside of Los Angeles? Not just on the presidential election, but this year during the primary for the California gubernatorial election. You know, for myself, I accept the argument that what you see on Instagram doesn't or Facebook or TikTok or everywhere else but X. What you see out there on social media doesn't necessarily correlate to votes on the ground. It's a sample of people. It's a sample of like a public preference or public support, but that doesn't necessarily count as votes. And maybe they're right. Maybe they're right because the people that vote in the primary, who is it really? It's probably the people that stay up late, 5, 6 p.m. watching certain news channels, getting their Pfizer commercials in. Maybe I shouldn't have said the brand, but getting in their pharmaceutical commercials and hearing about all the candidates that are running. Great and dandy. Hi, Maria. Appreciate you tuning in. My response to the argument that online is not necessarily real life. What about real life? I think I said this last year with Christian. What about when I go out onto the street and I talk to somebody and I ask them what's up, like, hey, who are you going to vote for? And they go, oh, I don't know, man. I just, there's that one cop. I like that guy. I've seen clips of him online. Yeah, responses like that. I think, oh, this is going to be a landslide. But it's back to those old people. The old people vote. The young people vote too for the general. Here's something that we need to change. We need to go vote in the primary as well. We have these popular candidates. They're not getting anywhere. And this goes for both parties because I've seen it happen on the Democrat side too. Saw it with Bernie Sanders. A lot of Bernie bros out there. And unfortunately for us Bianco bros, it didn't work out for us. That's what they're telling us. Unless there's some shenanigans. And again, I say, what happens if we can prove, not we, but the federal investigators prove that there's something going on in Los Angeles? You don't think they're using that playbook in San Francisco? You don't think they're using the same playbook in Sacramento, San Jose, San Francisco, San Diego? You don't think that they're using that playbook in Orange County, the county that is allegedly turning purple or blue? Do you think that they're not using it in maybe some rural cities like Fresno? Because I have to admit, living in Fresno, I would think that most people that I would consider to be voters are conservative. Right? There are people in certain parts of the city that would vote Democrat. I understand that. Can't discount it. But when you look at the county, when you look at the Central Valley, it's overwhelmingly conservative. But somehow, some way, we still have Democrat candidates that win. It's nothing against them. When it comes to somebody like Jim Costa, I said it in the interview with Lorenzo Rios. I don't think Jim Costa has done bad things. He's done his job. I also think that he hasn't gone above and beyond. I also think he's been there for a long time, and we need to shake some things up because Fresno County, not necessarily Fresno County, but the district that Jim Costa covers, which I don't personally live in, but the district that he does cover deserves more than what they're getting right now. And you could say this for a lot of areas in California. We should be tired of the same old bullshit. Okay? I'm just going to say that. Okay? I know. The cow pies, that's not something that you want to relate California to. But when you think about things that happen in California, the affordability, the fact that we're not building homes fast enough, the fact that fuel prices are so high, the fact that electricity prices are so high. I mean, when you think about fuel and electricity, fuel being gasoline, energy costs, just in general, we're paying double more than the national average on everything, just across the board. And they're taxing us on top of that. They want to tax us more on top of that. There's this new tax that snuck through last week. You would think that the Democrats would be treading lightly right now. They don't care. They don't. Go to Sacramento. Look up to see what they're doing. They don't give a shit about you. They don't care about your family. They don't care that when you go to Walmart, because I know a lot of us shop at Walmart because we can't afford to shop at Vons, Safeway, Albertsons anymore, let alone Trader Joe's or Sprouts. If you can afford to do that, great job on your budget. But for the majority of us that have to go to Walmart because it's cheaper for the same stuff, not the same as Sprouts and Trader Joe's, I completely understand. Sorry for those that are listening that are patrons of those stores. I've gone to Sprouts. I go there once in a while to get certain things and love it. But when we go to Walmart to get the cereal that you can get at Vons for way cheaper at Walmart, when we put our orders in, the costs have not come down since COVID, when the supply chain was all messed up, behind. So if the costs haven't gone down, if the inflation hasn't slowed down, or maybe it's slowed down, but if inflation hasn't started to reverse, which reversing is not a good thing either, what do we expect? I mean, what do we think that we're going to, as a society here in California, as Californians, are we going to be happy to continue to live here? No. I don't. I'm not happy with it. Yeah. Democrats have definitely doubled down on the stupidity. Honestly, when I see that they are raising taxes more, when they're talking about putting a fuel tax on, guys, pretend I'm somebody in Sacramento. You're going to be incentivized to go out and buy a Tesla or an electric vehicle. We'll help you. We'll give you tax breaks. Yeah, we're going to give you tax breaks. What does a tax break mean? A tax break doesn't mean that the state sends you money. They just say, hey, that money you owe us, you won't have to pay us as much. Hey, don't worry, we'll make it up in other places. Hey, they found their way to make it up. They've already made up that money that they gave you in a break. They found that money, okay? Now they want more money. I just bought groceries on Amazon and it was cheaper than the supermarket. My mind was blown. I know. When Amazon, that isn't home, right? You order it online. This is the reason I order from Walmart, because I order it on my phone. I go pick it up. They pulled it for me. I don't have to spend an hour walking around Walmart, calling home saying, hey, babe, do we have milk? How much milk do we have? Because the kids are getting, they're on summer. I don't know. The fact that the Democrats not only are still in control, okay, let's just look past the fact that they are currently still in control. We just had the primary. Who votes in the primary? It's mostly older people. Let's not overlook that. If it was young people, if it was all the people in the comments on Latino Free Minds, if it was all the Hispanics, if we actually got out there and voted for the primaries, Chad Bianco probably wouldn't have this problem right now. It's hard to commit enough fraud when the vote is overwhelming. Like gun voters, gun users, whatever the right term is. If they would have all went out and voted, it might have been different. But we don't vote. It's all older people. But even with that, the Democrats are still way ahead. Why? Why are the Democrats way ahead? I don't hate the Democrat Party. They do some weird things. I used to vote as a Democrat more than 10 years ago. Don't hold it against me. We're already past a decade. I feel like if you once you're out of that cycle for more than a decade, we have to stop blaming you, right? Who's going out there and voting for the same things here in California? For the people that have put us in the position that we're in. Because why? Because we're the fourth largest economy in the world? How does that feel for you? Being the fourth largest economy in the world, we must all be going to Trader Joe's and Sprouts. Psych. That's a bold-faced lie. Because I was just at Sprouts last Friday. None of you were there. There was like 6 people there. And they all look like they vote Democrat. And that's okay. That's okay. But you would think that the majority would be fed up of it. I would think that. I would think that people would go, hey, did you see the election? Did you see the debate last night? Those governor candidates? That guy, Chad Bianco, he made a lot of sense. That guy, Steve Hilton, his answers are all complicated, but I think what he's saying is in the right direction. I don't, personally, I'm not a Steve Hilton guy, but he's not as stupid as like Becerra. No offense, Becerra. I still want you to come on the show and prove to me that you're the better candidate. But from what I've seen so far, you're not doing a good job of convincing me to vote for you. You're really not. When you were afraid to call out Gavin Newsom for all the shit he's done in California, come on, buddy. Grow a pair. Step it up. Have you checked what the registration fee is for an EV in your state? Here it's $250. I don't know what state you're in, but it's very expensive here in California. Unfortunately, I know that it's expensive. I know that insurance is expensive. We ordered our Tesla and oh my God, the insurance was like, they wanted to go from, I think we were paying, let's just call it like $1,500 for 3-4 cars. And then they wanted to go up to like $4,000. I was like, what? So, yeah, I had to call around. I found insurance. I was able to get it at a much better rate. Edgar, friend of the show, Deputy Dreamer, said he wouldn't trust Javier Becerra with his kids. But he's Mexican, bro. His parents came here with $12. You wouldn't trust him with your kids? Why not? He only lost, what, 300,000, 500,000 now they're saying? With a lot of them reporting repeatedly, to the level of serial abuse, rape. Why wouldn't you trust Javier Becerra with your kids? These are MAGA talking points. I got to move back and away from the MAGA talking points, you guys. I spent a lot of time researching him to the point where I looked at it and I thought, this guy's polling at between 1% and 3%. All the information that I have found on this guy isn't worth the time because he's going to have to drop out at 1% to 3%. There's just no chance. He's polling the lowest of all the Democrats. I mean, you're talking about lower than Porter, lower than Mahan, who had just entered the race, lower than Tony Thurmond, lower than Antonio Villaraigosa. But somehow Becerra came up unexpectedly within like 13 weeks? What the heck? Makes no sense. Mr. Becerra, you're doing something right. Come on, Latino Free Minds. Look, do I promise that it's going to be easy and we're not going to throw curveballs at you? Hell no. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough interview. But you know what? You know who else? You know who else is running for governor who hasn't had an easy path from Latino Free Minds? You know who else has had a lot of videos? Way more than you. We've thrown way more shit at Steve Hilton than you. Guess who's coming on the podcast in just a few weeks? Steve Hilton. He's coming on the podcast. He's not a little bitch like you. Maybe you can change my mind. Maybe you can change our minds. I don't know. Sorry, I know some people might have kids around. I'll watch the language. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm sure I'm sure the response is about Becerra. There's no incentive to go electric. Honestly, as somebody who drives electric, I'm assuming that you don't have an electric vehicle, but as somebody who has switched to a Tesla, I wasn't even on the fence before switching to a Tesla. I was all about the gas-powered vehicles. All I can think of was the electric vehicle is not only is it expensive, but the insurance is high. Tires are more expensive. You got to put a charger in your house. When you go on trips, you're going to have to park for an hour, 2 hours to charge your car up. But guess what? I switched to an electric. I was in a motorcycle accident. Broke both my arms. Like, I couldn't drive. I couldn't ride the motorcycle. I still can't ride a motorcycle. I can't do the throttle. I can't move my hand back. There's a lot of things I can't do. I don't cry about it. I'm grateful to be alive. But one of the things that piqued my interest with the Tesla was the full self-drive. I made an appointment. My wife and I went and test drove it. I didn't drive because if I had to take over, I couldn't. I didn't have cast on my arms, thank God, but I couldn't really move them. The brakes and I'll never be able to do half the things I was able to do. I mean, if you see me at the gym, I'm still able to pick up weight. I'm still able to almost do pull-ups again, but it's a struggle. But we got in that car. It was really nice inside. I was really impressed. The guy comes up, asks where we're going to go. He goes, why don't you guys go to Starbucks? But don't go to the close one right here down the street. Go to the one down on the other side of, this is like 3-4 miles away. Put the address in. He said, all right, I'll close the door. You guys just, tells my wife, you just push the brake pedal and the button will light up blue to start the self-drive. She pushes closes the door, push the brake pedal, and push the button, and the car just started driving. It drove us all the way to Starbucks. We got there. I told my wife, that was amazing. Let's see if it can get us back. Go the long way. So we put in the address for Tesla. It takes us back the long way. no problems. She didn't have to take over once. We put an order in for one. It was an expensive car, but there was a tax rebate. And the incentives were great, like 0% interest. I'll tell you that the things that people have complained about with Teslas, you have to ignore it. I drove the car down from Fresno to San Diego. For those of you that don't live in California or Texas, because Texas is huge, Fresno to San Diego is like driving a couple states over. And I stopped at the Grapevine because not only did I need to use the restroom, I like to stop there at Tejon Ranch to just to get out and get some fresh air before going up the mountains. The mountain range is going over the Grapevine it's for me, it's intense. So I stopped there. Conveniently, there's a charger there, right where I like to stop. I pull in, put it to charge. I go on a 3-4 minute walk, realistically 3 to 4 minutes, to the gas station. I get all the things I want. I use the restroom, pay for my stuff, walk back to the car. If I don't need to situate, I just throw the bag in the passenger seat, go over, unplug the car, get back on the road, and I get to San Diego with enough charge to like get me around town. Charge it up. If I'm at like if you run it down to like with below 10%, yeah, it'll take you like 45 minutes, 50 minutes to charge, but you almost never do that. You really don't. Even on a road trip, you know, if you're driving for more than 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours, you're crazy, and you're probably young. I'm old. My bladder won't let me go more than 2.5 hours anymore. I gotta stop. I gotta pee. I gotta get more water in me. Maybe it's not my bladder that's the problem. Maybe it's that I'm getting older and I have gotten used to starting to drink water. I don't know. But yeah. You gotta ignore a lot of the trash that people say. It's honestly, it's really great. I mean, you stop at the gas station to put gas. It takes you 5 minutes to fill up anyways. Some of these gas stations are really slow, especially in California because gas is so expensive. So they slow it down so you can watch the number creep up, right? Because I don't want you to just spend $140 to fill your gas tank. No, it's got to go up slow so you can watch those dimes get added on. So I'll continue charging my car up for like $10 to $20 a charge, and you can pay your $100 and something. It's fine. You got an old hoopty. Claudia likes Bianco, but Hilton better than Javier. I'm a Chad Bianco guy. I hope that if they don't find anything and the election is certified and we have to move on, I hope that Chad doesn't give up. He comes back. I hope that there's enough people that remember Chad Bianco and get excited enough to vote him in if he decides to run again. I don't know. I don't see him as a quitter, right? As somebody who would give up. But at the same time, the process is grueling. Not a lot of people are built to run multiple times. There are people that can do it. Leo Zaki, not the worst guy out there, right? He's run like the last 3 elections. You got an old hoopty. Me too. I got a Ford that's like 13. Oh to God, it's like, yeah, it's like 13 years old, and that thing is a trooper. I call it Old Faithful because anytime I have problems with another car, my Ford is right there. Now, the last time I had to go buy a new battery for it because it sat for too long, put new tires on it recently, but man, that car goes forever. And it's a Ford. I mean, before I got that Ford, I didn't trust Ford. I was a Chevy guy. Anyways, I'm still an American car guy. So on the voter ID stuff, yeah, if something's found out about the election in Los Angeles, you have to question the entire state of California. You really do. Regardless, it's very important. If you are in California, you need to talk to people and convince them to go out and vote to pass voter ID. We need voter ID in California. You know, I know people say that there's no fraud, there's no evidence of it. There's no way it can be happening. But here's the fact. When questions do come up about elections and things looking weird, the data doesn't look right. That's not how data works. I'm somebody who actually works with data. I know when something looks wrong. If the votes that occurred in Los Angeles actually happened the way they say they did, it looks funny. I'm a data guy. It looks funny. Those are the kinds of things where when somebody says, hey, Gio, I'm having this problem, and I go look at the back of the system, and I'm starting to look, and I go, there's something funny in this little section here. Let me start digging in. And, you know, data tables are massive. But I usually find those things. I'm sure that these experts that Bill Asaley has, I'm sure they know what they're doing. If there's something funny going on, they'll find it. Chad should be on Steve's team, join forces. No, I think that if the election is certified, then Chad just drops out. And I would hope that he has in mind to do this again. I don't know. I mean, I can't force him to do that. I'm not in his family. I don't know the toll that it took on them. I would imagine, from what I can see on the outside, it was terrible. Especially, and this gets me into your comment about joining forces with Steve's team. Especially with how Steve shifted in January. I know a lot of people say, oh, the Chad Bianco people are nasty. They are terrible online. They go after the opponents. I'm just going to tell you the facts here. In January, up until January, I think it was the 20th or 21st, things were fine. Things were fine. You know, the elections were going as elections go. But then there was that debate where Steve Hilton came out on stage and went after Chad Bianco. Something that, as a Republican, as somebody, not just because I've only been a Republican for a little over 10 years, but something that I know growing up is that Republicans don't really go at each other the way that Democrats do. Republicans have this level of respect. Steve Hilton went at Chad Bianco. There was the websites like Amnesty Chad, BLM Bianco. I think there was another one. It's not coming to mind. But he went after Chad. And if you want to know why Latino Free Minds dropped all the hate that they did at Steve Hilton, it is because we took it personal. Now, we did have an interview with Chad Bianco, so I don't want to make it sound like we didn't know him, but we didn't, right? So any content that we put out was really from us, right? I know a lot of people in the comments would say, oh, you guys are getting paid by Chad Bianco. No, not a dime. We did it all for the love of the game. But like I say, if it falls together the way it does, or the way that it looks like it's going to go, we need to look at other candidates. And Javier Becerra and Steve Hilton are leading the way. And at this point, I think it's just a matter of being certified. They are the candidates. And Javier, I'll say it again. Steve's not afraid. I'll give him that. So, your opportunity's here. It's if you decide to come on here, I will say don't, before the show, ask if this is going to be an easy one or whatever you asked that girl from was it KCRA or whatever network you had you were going to interview on. It's not going to be an easy one. We are going to hit you hard. But I would expect that over this election, you're probably going to get hit pretty hard. Right? There's nothing that I can find that real journalist, like I'm not even a journalist, I'm a podcaster, but like a real journalist couldn't dig up easily. It is what it is. The opportunity's there. You can come on if you want. Steve's not a scaredy cat like you. Unless you surprise us and you call us and set it up. Dude, we'll do it in Sacramento. We could do it at your mom's house if you want to. Right? You could do it at my grandma's house. Your parents came here with $12. I don't know how much my grandparents came here with, but maybe they didn't even have $12. Anyways, we'll figure it out. Apparently the war is over. We talked about that last week. I keep getting asked about this money that we've given Iran. Is it true that we gave Iran money? I think the president said it was their money. I don't. Seems fishy to me. We made fun of Obama for doing it. Now Trump has done it. And, when Trump does things, we don't go in on Trump. Okay? We look the other way. Look the other way, guys. Look the other way. We know it's taxpayer money, even though Trump said that it's Iran's money. We know. They owe us money. Yeah, we're going to pretend like it didn't happen. Other things that have been going on. Director of National Intelligence has began terminating staff. They're downsizing. Terminations reportedly began the prior day. Scope of cuts not yet confirmed publicly. Bill Pulte. Well, that's not good. Intelligence director. What's up? Firing people? Iran. Here's an update. Iran agrees to readmit UN nuclear inspections after Sweden talks. The agreement was announced after extended talks in Switzerland, and it comes amid ongoing tensions following the Iran conflict. Not good. Supreme Court ruling 6-3 against Rastafarian man in religious rights prison case. The Supreme Court ruled that Damon Lander cannot seek damages under the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act after Louisiana prison officials cut his dreadlocks. The court split along ideological lines, with a conservative majority departing from its usual support for religious claims. 3-6 decision, conservatives and majority liberals dissenting. Louisiana did not contest that Lander was mistreated, but argued RLUIPA applies to federal, not state officials. State says it has since changed its grooming policy. Lander, I am disappointed, but not defeated. Bro, cut your hair. Bro, you're in prison. You want long hair in prison? Yeah, if I got long hair and I get arrested and it's looking like probably going to get some time, first thing I'm going to request, cut off the hair. Right? Because, look, I mean, obvious, right? Obvious. Long hair, big booty. No, I'm just kidding. Congress passes major housing affordability bill. What's up? Heads to Trump's desk. The House passed the 21st Century Road and Housing Act, aimed at boosting home supply and restricting large investors from buying single-family homes. The Senate passed it the prior day, sending it to the White House for signature, a rare bipartisan win for the gridlock Congress months before the midterms. Includes grant funding and pilot programs to build new homes, eases some regulations, empowers local governments to expedite reviews, a section titled Homes for People, Not Corporations, limits large institution investor purchases. That sounds nice. Right? Guys, does that sound nice? I like that. I actually like that. (2026) primary elections across New York, Maryland, South Carolina, and Utah. Voters cast ballots in primaries featuring Democratic incumbent versus challenger battles in New York, plus a Republican gubernatorial runoff in South Carolina. NBC News projects Alan Wilson advances in South Carolina's governor's race. In a New York upset, Mondami-backed Brad Lander figured prominently in early results. South Carolina, Alan Wilson wins GOP runoff for governor. New York crowded primaries, including New York 12 race, succeeded Representative Gerald Nadler. Nadler? The old guy that pooped his pants? Wow. Law enforcement and firefighter news. National wildfire activity elevated, 31 large fires uncontained. The National Interagency Fire Center reports 77 new fires nationwide yesterday, including 6 new large fires and roughly 5,900 personnel assigned. Activity is concentrated in the Great Basin, Southwest, Northwest, and Alaska. National preparedness levels remains at 3. California! Finally, some California news. Newsom and legislative Democrats head into final budget negotiations. Oh! Our money. We're talking about our money now. California lawmakers adopted a $356 billion budget that would largely avoid or delay billions in social service cuts, Newsom proposed. The vote was a constitutional formality. Real negotiations with the governor now begin ahead of the July 1st fiscal year start. Bro, come on, just get it done. It's the budget. Legislature wants $900 million for homelessness fund, versus Newsom's 500 million. Bro, what? Newsom wants less money than the legislature for homelessness? 900 million? Do you remember a few years ago when the Democrats were trying to beg Elon Musk to give $4 million, or was it 8 billion? 4 billion or 8 billion? I think it was 4 billion. They said it might even been less. It's like a few $1 billion to solve homelessness. We've already spent that much. Homelessness has not shrunk, it's grown. Lawmakers propose $2.7 billion. $2.7 billion more for TK through 12 schools and community colleges than Newsom. Deadline of June 25th to settle on possible rainy day fund ballot measure. Guys, what the heck? Do we just... it's just the money, just the amount of money we throw at everything. Here's a new thing in the legislative here in California. Public records bill draws secrecy criticism. A proposal by Assemblymember Pacheco would let public agencies delay records requests, deem improperly filed, sue over malicious requests, and charge up to $66 an hour to produce records. A good governance advocate called it a virtual horror show of governmental non-transparency. Bill would expand grounds for agencies to delay or contest CPRA request. Update. 2026 governor's race. Becerra versus Hilton. Head to November. Oh. With Newsom term limited, Democrat Javier Becerra and Republican Steve Hilton advanced from the June 2nd top two primary to November 3rd general election. Tuesday's primary result elsewhere may offer early clues about how vulnerable California legislative Republicans are in November. Well, there's that. That was your roundup, your update for this week. Sorry, I was jumping around a little bit. Christian wasn't able to jump on today. He's helping his papa, his pappy, his padre. Christian, I hope you're doing well. I assume you're watching. I will try to jump on tomorrow night with Christian. No big promises because I do normally go to church on Wednesday. Holy moly. I still have to go to the gym. I go to church on Wednesdays, so that's why I don't join Latino Free Minds with Danny and Daniel on Wednesdays. But we'll see how it goes. I'll no promises. I'll try to jump on tomorrow. I still live very busy, so I appreciate everybody tuning in. Don't think for a second that just because Christian isn't here, we're not going to close it out with a prayer. All right? Because you still need it. I still need it. California still needs it. Man. You know, I got this microphone thing. I'm sorry, I'm probably making a lot of noise moving this around. But I got this microphone stand so I didn't have to like hunch over anymore, and I still do it. Anyways, remove your hats. Bow your head in reverence. Heavenly Father, we come before your throne. Lord Jesus, I thank you for this day. I thank you for the blessings that you've already given me, for the guidance, and the grace that you have provided me. I ask you, Lord, as we disconnect from this podcast, I ask you to bless our listeners, those that have connected, those that will listen in the future. Watch over them. Be with the state of California. We need a lot of help, Lord. There's a lot of shenanigans going on. You know it better than we know it. I ask you to intercede, Lord, if it is in your will, to give the people of California the understanding of what's really happening, right? Allow us to be willing to understand, learn, and as we get going into November, I ask you to prepare all the voters, have them get ready for this election by first of all getting informed, also giving them the discernment to see which options are going to be best for them and their families. Give us the discernment, Lord. And may the best candidates that we can have win, if that is in your will. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. God bless.